I don't know whether you saw it, but about a year ago, Tom Scott uploaded a video, and it's been one of his best performing videos. It's had millions of views, and what was interesting about it was the title, because the title updated in real time. It was something like, this video has X views, where X kept changing to reflect the actual view count. So as the view count went up, the title kept changing. It was a really nice little trick, and the video did very well. So what I thought might be nice is to show you how you can do that. And it turns out that it's a really nice little project, because it has several elements that you have to get to work together in order to be able to make it happen. So you have to set up a Google API account and set up the YouTube API using your Google API account. And then you have to use that YouTube API to retrieve the data that you want. And you have to write the code to do that. And then when you get that data, which is in a JSON file, you have to find the relevant bit and isolate that, pull that out, and then put that into the title. And then that new title has to be then uploaded using the YouTube API again. And that whole process has to be automated. So, you're not just doing it sitting in front of your computer. You put it onto a server, and the server will run that script for you automatically. And so the title is constantly changing, and you don't have to do anything. And that's where today's sponsor comes in. We're going to be using a Hostinger VPS, and we're going to set up a Linux server on the Hostinger VPS. So I'm going to walk you through how to set all of that up so that you can run your script once we've written it together on that server, and you will be able then to automate the updating of a YouTube title. So that's what we're going to learn. Let's get coding. So this is Hostinger. They do various different types of hosting packages, from email to cloud hosting. They do shared web hosting as well. Today we're going to be using VPS hosting. That's what I have with them. And I'm going to run you through how to set all of this up. So if you want your own VPS, then if you click on the link in the description and use the discount code, you will get a discount on whatever it is you choose to sign up with. So for example, if you want the VPS, the entry-level VPS 12-month contract, then if you just go down here and you type in the magic code, Python programmer, there, that will give you an additional discount there. And what I like about them isn't that they're just good value. I think $4.60 a month for a VPS is a pretty good price, and they have a very good uptime, but it's the support that you get with them. And especially as a beginner, if you're not quite sure what you're doing with a server, you can contact their chat support and they'll be able to talk you through how to resolve any problems that you have. So there we are, Hostinger. Go and take a look. Prerequisites for this project are Python. You need it installed on your machine. You need a location where you're going to run this project from, so create a folder somewhere on your computer where you can do that. And you need a Python virtual environment. Now, if you don't know how to do that, I have made a video on virtual environments, and if you're using something like Anaconda, then go to their website and they've got some great information and tutorials on how to set up virtual environments using Anaconda. So that's the basics as far as your machine's concerned. You also need a Google account, and once you've done that, you need to be able to use the Google Cloud Platform. So go to cloud.google.com and set all that up. Once you have the Google Cloud Platform set up, go to APIs and Services, and you will want to go up here and create a new project. So just click on New Project, go through the details there and create one, and then just go to Library here, and don't go to Library there though. You want to go to YouTube, and you will see that there are a number of APIs that you can use. You want the YouTube Data API version 3. You will need to enable this, and as you can see, mine is already enabled, but yours won't be, so enable that. And then you're almost there. If you go back now to APIs and Services, then you just need to go back to the dashboard and then credentials. Now, you want to create new credentials, and the credential that you need is an oauth 2 client ID. So go on to here, create credentials, and click on oauth client ID. Now, when you do that, you will see a different screen to this. you will see something like my consent screen because I've already set all of this up. So what you need to do is go through the information here and fill in the bits that you need to fill in. Where the stars are, just give it any name you like. Put your email in the user support email. Further down the page, it'll ask for the developer contact details. Put your information in there, just an email address, and then don't worry about the scopes when you save and continue. You will need to add users, so just add yourself as a user, just give your Google username, save and continue, and then you're done. Go on to credentials now and create credentials, oauth client ID, and then you can choose the application type. This will be a desktop app. It will name it for you, but you can change the name if you like. And then once you've done that, you will see this screen here. Click on OK, and then you need to download this information, this file here, by clicking on this arrow. You need to download it to the project folder that you've already set up. And then you're done as far as preparation is concerned. Then what you want to do is, really the secret to APIs is being able to read the documentation. The documentation isn't always well written and it can be confusing and unclear at times, and you copy what's done in the documentation, you go through the examples and they don't work for you when you change them, and it's a sort of iterative process. And that's what we do here. But I'm giving you the shortcuts, telling you which pages you need to go to, and you can do it for yourself. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the documentation with you because that's just going to take too long. No one wants to see that. But I am going to point you in the right direction and also show you where the code is. So the first thing you need to do on this Python quick start guide is here where it says pip install, copy and paste that. You can just click on there and do it, and then install it in your virtual environment that you've already set up, and then do the same with this one here. Copy, paste, and install, and then you're ready to go. Now, I have a video that I'm going to be using here. It's a video I have on another channel, and it's the Sony WH-1000 XM4 review. And you can see here, this is the title, and you can see I've already had a go at playing around with adding the number of views. And you can see here 108 views, 107 in the title here because I've watched it since, so it works. So now what we're going to do, now we've been on this page and you've installed the Python packages that you need to go to this page. Now, you could have found this yourself, but this documentation isn't great, and it takes some finding sometimes. So what we're going to do is go to videos list. Actually, yeah, okay, let's go to videos list, and you can see here that on the right hand side you have try this app API, and then there are various different explanations as to what all the various parameters do with this API. You need to read this really. I'm not going to read it for you, but it's quite interesting if you want to know how this thing works. So if we look at this API panel here on the right, we're going to put snippets and statistics in here. This is where the video ID goes, and then if we show the code and go to Python, this is what we get, and this is really the information that we need. So you're going to copy and paste that and go to your IDE or your code editor. I use VS Code, it's the one that I like, but there are other ones available. And just copy and paste this into your IDE, into your code editor, and give it a name and save it as a Python file.py. And let's just go through what we have here. If I can just get rid of that. We have various imports of packages, the operating system module, and then the ones that we've just installed, the Google ones. The scopes is really sort of the permission that we need in order to be able to do what we want to do. In the first case, that's read only, but that will become more later. And then we have this environment variable that we're setting here, and various different variables to do with accessing the API itself. All of this is how we access the API. I'm not going to talk you through that because there's a lot of it and you can read it in the documentation. Basically, this is the important thing here. So we have this YouTube variable, and then using that we have request, and then we can use this videos and list on this YouTube variable here saying what we want to do. And in this case, we want to get the snippet and statistics, and there are explanations of what those are in the documentation, although you'll see soon what that is. And this is your video ID. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my code here, which I've changed slightly because I have put the video ID of the video that I previously showed you in here. And I've also taken the data that's returned and broken it up a little bit so that we can see what we're getting more easily. And I've also saved it as a JSON file because I want to show you the pretty print package and how that can help you with JSON data. So if we now run this and see what happens, here we get this URL that we need to copy and paste, or you can control click it. And if we go here, you'll see what it does. So I'll click on this here and we'll paste this into our browser. And this is the authentication process now that we have to go through, that is being driven by the stuff that we set up at the start of the video. So if we click through this now, we can allow that. We will get a code. And if we copy that code and we'll put that in, and what do we get? Well, you can see that we get the title that we wanted. That's been returned to us because we have printed the title. We've also printed the number of views, which is what we've wanted. And we've also printed this response. And when you're dealing with APIs, this is typically the sort of thing that you will get. You get all this, where does it start? Yeah, all this data here. And it's a bit of a jumble, although it's structured, you can't make it out when you look at it like this. So I just wanted to show you. Here I've saved it so that we can have a look at it using Pretty Print. So if I just, I'll just comment that out. So if I run this now, so here all I'm doing is loading the API data that we now have into a Python file so that we can Pretty Print it. And here you can now see there's some structure to this data. And that's much easier when you're working with data. Always use Pretty Print to start with, at least, so you can get some idea of where things are nested, because it can be a little bit difficult to tell sometimes. And so we want the title, and so we can see that we want this whole thing's being returned. Well, the first thing is dictionary. So we want the dictionary name followed by the key, which is items. Items is a list which has a dictionary inside it. So we need items, the first list item, which is 0, and then we want the snippet key, which will take us to this dictionary here. So this will return a dictionary, and then inside of that we want the title key, which is essentially what we're doing here. If I just... And we don't actually need to Pretty Print this because it'll just print nicely anyway. But if I do that and I print this out now, and if we have a look at what we've got, we get the title. So that's how we reach the title. And we do the same thing with the statistics. So to get to the statistics, it's items 0, and then instead of snippet title, it's statistics. Just have a look here, which is statistics, and then we want view count, and if we run that now, we should get back what we wanted, which is the view count. So it makes it much easier if you use Pretty Print just to be able to have a look at the data when it comes back, as sort of a jumble. I certainly find it helpful. Okay, so that's step 1. We have been able now to retrieve data, but we want to do more. And you can see here, so here I've taken vidinfo and I've taken everything that was in that first list. And then the snippet is the snippet, and the title is the snippet title, and then the views is this here, and here is just where I'm saving the data, and this is where I'm printing it out. So now we need to go back to the documentation and have a look at videos list. No, we want videos update. So here we can now read through this documentation to see what you need to do in order to be able to update your video. And again, you can get some code that Google will create for you to do what you want to do. Now, what we want to do is update the title, the snippet. Now, this is the tricky bit because you can't just, it doesn't seem, update the title. You have to update all of the snippet. So we need to go into our code here, and we've set the new title to include the number of views, and then we have snippet title, which is from here to new title. So we've got this now, but we need to insert snippet back in here. We can't just update the title. We need to update all of the snippet information, but all of that is staying the same. It's only the title that we want to change. So we take our snippet variable, we change the title, we use the key title to give a new title, and then in here we are just we're updating all of the snippet information, but the only change is the title. Now, if we come back in here and have a look, that's essentially what we're doing here. And if we look at this code here, this is what that has generated for us. So we're looking at the part is the snippet, and the body, the ID. This is where our video ID goes, and the snippet here, in here, is the new snippet, which contains our new title, but nothing else has changed. So now if we go back, and we will print done after this so we know that it's been done. If we now run this, let me just save that. And also you'll notice that we've got a different scope here. If we run this now, we'll go through this authorization process again. So it says it's done. So if we now go back to here and we have a look at this video where it says Sony WH review with 107 here, if we refresh that,
for me,
we now see that we've got 108. So that is how you update your video title. So we're very close now. There's just a couple of other things that we need to do. First of all, we're going to want this to keep updating. We're not just going to want it to update once. So where we update it, you're going to have to put that inside a loop in that code. I'm going to let you do that yourself and work that out for yourself. It's very easy. You just need to have a while loop around the section that's going to be updating. Otherwise, we'll only update the video title once, and that's not what we want. And the other thing is we're going to have to put this onto a server that operates the whole time. We can't be operating it from our computers because when we switch them off, it won't work anymore. So I'm going to talk you through how to do that. But something you need to bear in mind is the YouTube API limits, the limitations. And you get 10,000 units a day, arbitrarily, that's what you're given. And each query to the API has a unit cost. And the one that we're going to be using, the update, has a unit cost of 50 units each time you do it. And that gives you 200 attempts or 200 goes of updating your title. Now, obviously, if this is something that you want to do, every 10 seconds throughout the day, if your views are going up, you're not going to be able to do that. So you'll have to work out how many calls you can make to this API in order to not exceed your quota limit. And there are ways around that as well, but I'm not going to get into that now. I'll leave that for another video. So what I want to do now is move to my Hostinger account, which is where I have a server that I'm going to use to run this code, and we're just going to set that up. So I'm using a VPS. Having your own server can be really useful because you just learn a whole new skill set of server management and how to maintain a server, and that's a pretty useful skill set to have. The reason I like Hostinger is that they're good value, the uptime's good at 99.9%, but also you get very good support. So if there's something that you're not sure how to do, which is often the case when you're just starting out, then you have that support there. And that's not always the case with all server providers. So this is the platform. And what we're going to do now is we're going to SSH into our server. So if you're on Windows, I would suggest you install WSL for Windows. I've made a video about that in the past, and that's on the screen now, so you can always go and have a look at that. So let's now SSH into our server. So SSH root, and then you just put in the IP address. Okay, so we will log into that now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to update this server. So update and apt upgrade. Let's do that. And once that's done, now we're going to create a new user so we don't have to keep logging in as the root. So add user, I'll just call it Giles. Okay, new password. So I'll just make a password up for that. Okay, I'll just put my name in there, and we don't need to bother with all this stuff. That's correct. Okay, and then I'm going to add myself, the new user, to the sudo group, which means I'll have root privileges when I use sudo. So let's just do that. Oops, add user, Giles sudo. So now we can exit out of that, and I can log back in now as Giles, so I'm not using the root login. Great, okay, so let's do that. So if we just have a look where we are now, so we're in home /Giles, let's now create a directory where we're going to put the script that we've just written. So mkdir, we'll call it Python script. Okay, and we can see that we've got that now, so that's good. And now we just need to copy the files from our local machine to our server. So what we need to do now is fire up another instance of the terminal. Okay, so that's done now. So if we go and have a look here, and we cd into Python scripts and have a look now, we have the views retrieve in there. They are there. That file is there. Okay, so we just need to do the same now with the secret JSON, and that's done. Well, one other thing we ought to do is set up a virtual environment. I nearly forgot to do that. So we're going to set up a virtual environment because we do have Python on this machine, I'm sure. We do, there we are, but we need to set up a virtual environment. Let's set up our virtual environment now. So 3mvmv. Okay, so we're going to have to install this now. So let's do that. So we'll sudo apt get install python 3vmv. So let's just do that. We'll continue there. Okay, and now we can set up our virtual environment. So we'll do that. So that should set up now. Okay, so let's just have a look, and there it is. Now we'll activate that. Source vmv bin, and these are all things that you should have seen before. I'm not going to go through them all. Right, so now we'll do pip install pip just to make sure we have that. Okay, so let's do pip install pip just to make sure we've got the latest version of pip. So we have that now, and now we just need to go back to the YouTube page, the YouTube API page, because I can't remember the name of the package. So it's this one that we need to install. So I'll just do that. Thought I'd copied it. Copy to clipboard. There we are. So we'll install that. And while that's installing, let's just take this one as well, and we'll install that. Okay, so we've installed everything that we need to install now, and we should be able to run this script and see what happens. Okay, so we're being asked to go here. So that looks promising. We'll copy that and paste. Oh, and there we are. We've done it. You see, so we've got the title, it's printed out for us, and the new number of users 115, and well, I'm not going to go to that now, but it will have updated it to 115. So that's how you do this. I hope that's been useful. It's been a long video, and it's not just the view count that you can do this with. You can take any information from anywhere, from any API that you like, and then put that into a YouTube title, or you can even change the image. And maybe once you've got used to doing this, that's something that you can have a look at. Anyway, that's all from me for now. I'll see you next time.